Okay, so first up, I am really sorry for the video title, but I've already personally responded to this comment myself, and I take no offense against the person who posted this. Again, I was just merely stating my observations and my own opinion on things. So I'm just gonna be talking about the content of this comment and not the person who posted this comment, but just the contents alone. So on that day itself, there was a Pixelman A22 on 14, which later went on. I mean, I caught it like running on service 14, and then it went on to do 14E. So at that point of time, I was kind of confident that since it was a bus model debut on 14E, I thought people would have went to film. So on the same day, I knew that SMB 186, I forgot the last letter, but it was a Citaro. It was on 967 and it was running full day. So I thought this would have been the perfect opportunity to record 967 on a Citaro because other than my friend, nobody else has caught a Citaro on 967 before. I'm not even joking. Since debut, it has happened like a few times, but nobody has managed to catch it. So all in all, I filmed this. I also filmed this. Nobody went to film this in reality except Ong Wei-jian. I mean, he's quite famous for like being able to catch all the cameos in general because he has intel, he has access to information. That's why he is able to hunt as and when he wants. And that's a good thing. And he personally doesn't have a YouTube account, which is totally fine. Like, I'm not forcing anyone to make a YouTube account just to post their videos. They have the freedom to post like wherever they want or choose not to post at all. But at least we can all agree that if he actually had a YouTube account, he would have been really famous by now. But again, no one is forcing him to make an account. So, as much as I really would love to be proven wrong, nobody managed to catch the 14E Pixel A22. Then the next day, the 14E, another A22 appeared, Euro 5. So I went to catch this one because on that same day, it was sort of like publicly announced that 979X will be debuting a B5LH to like test out the passenger information display system, whether it would help with bringing more awareness about this new service to UT residents. So yeah, this was a debut. I knew that people would all flock to this cameo and it would probably happen again. So I did not go for this because like there is already more than enough content about the B5LH on 979X being produced, so I went for this instead. And it turns out I was the only one who went. So if I didn't go for the 14E, 14E would have probably gone without Man A22 Euro 5 documentation on YouTube at all, like not even a single one. So the problem with this is that, can you imagine future bus enthusiasts? Okay, I know the bus industry in Singapore right now is quite shit, but like, can you imagine future bus enthusiasts like asking you guys, hey, has an E5 A22 ever appeared on 14E? And then you don't really know how to answer them because there is no like concrete evidence that it actually has ran on 14E before. And that's why YouTube comes into place. the difference between a photo and a video is that a photo can be easily photoshopped and manipulated, as in the EDS. People love to make edits of buses, and truthfully it is really fun to do that, but again, the difference is that videos are much harder to manipulate. Like, the only realistic way, and again, I'm not like trying to justify or glorify it, I'm just saying technically the only way that you can fake a cameo that's being recorded on video is if you're the bus captain and you punk EDS. But again, I'm not like saying go ahead and do it or anything. I'm just saying technically that is the only way that you're able to like manipulate a video. And that is the reason why videos in general are clear-cut evidence that these so-called cameos have happened before. And the thing is, when people take photos, usually they may or may not post it to a website that is like public domain. But when they post it to YouTube, look, YouTube, unless you set it to like unlisted or a private video, the video is mostly public domain. Everybody has access to it. And since it's not easily fakeable or easily manipulatable, I don't know what I'm saying, but like it is not easy to fake a cameo like that's being captured on a video. A video is more or less like 99% of the time clear-cut evidence that a cameo has indeed happened before. I mean, unless you put a photo that's manipulated onto the video. But if it's an actual moving bus, you're actually capturing the bus moving, as I've said before, it is clear-cut evidence. Now, the internet in general is like you have to ask permission before you want to use other people's content. Like, we all respect that. But for me personally, okay, and I will still say this, if you want to use other people's content, please actually ask them for permission before you actually use them. Unless it's like your friends, like your close friends. But the reason why, for me personally, I allow every single person, either online or offline, to use my content for whatever purpose. You can manipulate it all you want. You can make YouTube poops with it. You want to use my videos for a compilation or any other thing. Even if you want to re-upload my video in full without crediting me, that's completely fine as well, because that's my whole intention of making videos. I want people to have easy access to my content. I want people to be able to, okay, I know there are restrictions and stuff like that, like when it comes to downloading MP4 videos and stuff like that, but I want people to be able to download my videos and keep it for themselves. So it's like I have a copy of it on my own laptop or my account, and other people can also own their own copy of my video, and for me, they are free to do whatever they want with my video, because everything that I upload online, I already know that, you know, people would see it and they would be interested in it. So I allow them to take it. Now, I know other people usually don't allow it, but for me, I allow it. So, and that's why I tell people that you don't have to like credit me or ask for my permission to use any of the stuff I upload online. You can just take it. And I mean it. I mean, as long as you don't use it for like anything bad or harmful, then it's all good, you know. Again, other people, please actually ask them before you like actually want to use them. But for me, you don't have to ask me. You can just use my content for free. And kind of the reason why I choose to record videos instead of like taking photos is because when I record videos, like especially if I have a 4K phone or an HD phone, I don't know, 30 FPS, 60 FPS, it doesn't really matter as long as it's, you know, high quality enough. I'm able to like choose my thumbnail from many different frames of the video as opposed to like having just one photo, which is like riskier. And that's the reason why I prefer to film stuff. And because when I film stuff, I put it to YouTube, it's publicly accessible, like everyone can see it. It's not like a photo that I have to post on like my community tab, which is now named post tab. I don't know why they changed it, but yeah. Again, I just want it to be publicly accessible. But I mean, some people, when they take photos, they usually post it to their own private domain, like their social media. Sometimes it's public, but in most cases, it's like private and it's like harder to search. But on YouTube, it's easily searchable, and that's the level of access that I want people to be able to like have, I mean, for my content. So with the whole photo or video distinction, like distinguishing between the two out of the way, I would like to move on to. So yes, I am from Japan, but I did live in Singapore like on and off, like especially when I was younger, and these were the buses that I grew up with. So you can just say from like 2006, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. When I was still like 7 to 12 years old, I didn't have access to like a good camera or like a video camera or like a phone camera. I had nothing. All I could do was just enjoy these buses. So this one is the Volvo B10M Mark II. This picture was taken by my friend from businterchange.net. He is the owner of the site. This is a Scania N113 CRB by SG Buses, and unfortunately I didn't really have a chance to see a lot of this bus, again because of location. I drew these all myself, including this one. Mercedes-Benz 0405, this was what I really grew up with. Objectively, it is an absolutely terrible bus, but I loved it because W3E gearbox. Look, it still pains me to this day that like I'm not able to hear a W3E gearbox anymore. Like I would really love to have the opportunity to like at least listen to it again IRL, but even if I'm not able to do so, people have videos of these buses, and that's what I'm really thankful for. I could just plug in my earphones and listen to them, and it helps de-stress me, genuinely. Like, don't get me wrong, I have enjoyed these buses up till they retired. So for the 0405s, my last ride was on service 400. I mean 400, you know, the route has changed like many times, but I took 400 like in either 2009 or 2010. I couldn't remember, but I do remember that like service 400 was like my last ever ride on an 0405. And yeah, I never rode it again because they retired. So it's like I really treasured the time I had with these buses, like up till they retired. Even for like 0405G, like you know, Mark 1, Mark 2, Hispano, Habit, Vogren, up till like 1187X's last day, which is like, is it 8th or 9th of April? I couldn't remember. But anyways, like when the bus was still running, I treasured them, and I mean it. And yeah, even though, yes, I did treasure them when they were still around, when they're not around anymore, it's like, it still pains a little bit, you know, especially looking at the current state of like the bus industry in Singapore right now. Even though I have like no connection to this country whatsoever. But I still miss the buses in the past. The message that I want to bring across is that back then, we really had nothing to like, no means to like record these buses. Nowadays, the enthusiasts, they have access to like 4K cameras. It's not that expensive like on their phone. Like they have 4K cameras, they have HD cameras, or stuff like that. Some are even have the means to buy cameras with like better specifications or stuff like that. I don't know, like higher end cameras. And to see them not really treasure like the buses that are going to retire soon, it is really painful, because ultimately like we've lived through the time whereby phone cameras weren't really a thing back then. And unless you had like a sort of like high-end camera with a good mic, you aren't really able to like record properly. I mean, documentation is better than no documentation, but it's like just trying to illustrate how it was like back then. And I'm just thankful that like SG Buses, businterchange.net, as well as like the few YouTubers like here and there from like the 2000s or 2010s. Sorry, not 2000s. Like YouTube only started in like 2004, if I'm not mistaken. I think I'm older than YouTube. 1999. I'm 1999. YouTube, I think, is like 2004. Correct me if I'm wrong, but okay, basically, where was I? Like, okay, the main message is that like we lived through the era with no smartphone, no good camera, no nothing. Even if we wanted to like document the buses, we had no means to do so. And I really don't want the same to happen to like this generation of bus enthusiasts. I don't want them to like, you know, few years down the road, they start lamenting that like, hey, why isn't there more documentation of like Scanias or OC500 LEs or stuff like that? I really don't want that to happen to like the next generation of bus enthusiasts, because I know how it feels to have like no documentation of a bus. You know, it's like when a bus retires, all you could do is recreate it in a game, draw it if you're like somewhat like proficient in art. Not everybody is. I'm also not that good either. I don't know how to see things in 3D. I cannot shade to save my life, and that's why I'm not an artist, like a professional artist. I mean, like, you just cannot ride the bus anymore because, you know, Singapore, they don't preserve buses because yada 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 and stuff like that. So it's unfortunate, and that's why we really don't want the same thing to happen to like the next generation of bus enthusiasts. I'm not talking about people who go on CNA and pretend to like the bendy buses or no. I'm talking about people who genuinely love buses with their heart and soul. I mean it. Okay, maybe I will illustrate it for like this current generation. To put it very, very simply, this was the year where after that, the buses started going downhill. There's a timeline. And for the buses who are still surviving till now, let's say 07, 08, And let's say maybe 2020. You have Scanias, you have OCs. And then in the middle, you have Citaros, B90Ls, A22s, Euro 5, as well as A24s. I mean, to be more specific, the A24s, 3AS came first, and then the production batch. And then there were the Citaros, B90Ls, which actually lasted like, I think all the way till like December 2017. And then after that, the only buses that were like worth any attention that still exist right now, probably B5LH, as well as the Yutongs. I'm discounting like private buses or like university shuttle buses. I'm just talking about like public buses right now. I'm not talking about like, you know, Sentosa buses, although those have some value as well. I'm just talking about public buses. Even though Sentosa is technically public as well, but you get the idea. That I don't like using this term, but BCM buses, or pre-BCM buses for that matter. I think pre-BCM is more accurate in that sense. I mean, except these two. So going back to just now, we didn't have the chance to document them like most of us. We felt the actual pain for not having enough documentation, although don't get us wrong, we are really thankful to businterchange.net and SG Buses, these people, for like taking the time, trouble, and effort for like documenting as many as they possibly could, because they could not be at more than one place simultaneously. So it's kind of like a group effort, you know. So we just don't want the same to happen to this generation of bus enthusiasts. It's like you have 4K cameras, you have HD cameras, Ultra HD or whatever, but for some reason, nobody really wants to film this. Like, and nobody really wants to film this, or this either. It's kind of like, how do I put it? When the A24s are on, like, again, just an example, 912, y'all don't catch it. When the A24s are on 900, even though it took nearly a year after the extension for any Bendy Bus documentation to even come out, and I had to tell people to get it. Yeah, I mean, all in all, nobody really goes for it, but I went for it. I stay the furthest, the exact opposite, like all the way across the island, away from Woodlands, but I still took the trouble to document all the 900 Bendy buses because they're unpredictable. They don't really spawn very often, but nobody really goes for them. But when the Bendy buses, they appear on like, let's say this, or this, most notably this, because historically 965 never really had any Bendy bus perms. They had cameos, even 0405G cameos, like down routes, but only an A24 entered like Sengkang, I think. Because of that, I think more people choose to film it on like 965. It doesn't matter if it's like full trip or whatever, but I'm just talking about like in general documentation. And then for KUBs, even the KUBs on like let's say the feeder bus services, if I could even list them all, oh my gosh. And then there's this one trunk service, which has been a trunk ever since the beginning of time. Yeah, these get like decent attention, but I just find it strange that like when the KUBs are on their perm services, nobody really bothers to document them. But when they like, I don't know why, like when they run on 852, or if they run on 851, but recently, I think a few months ago, they ran on 852 and it was like a zoo. Okay, not really to that extent, but you get the idea. It's like nobody really bothers to like go out and document stuff. It's if it's like not rare enough according to their own unfixed, like not really fixed definitions of rare. Whereas even if you have like a bus model debut on like say 14E, or like Sunli Depot, be it like OC or Man A22 E5, I'm just wondering why nobody is there. Okay, I could understand if it's like if it runs only a few trips and it's hard to catch, but like come on, the people who are like near Boon, like just film outside. I'm not expecting you to write it, just film outside. I don't think that's really unnecessary. And it's like if you don't want to like spend effort to like film those that only run a few trips, okay, I can understand. But when it's running like full day, AM, PM, still nobody bothers, which is like kind of mind-boggling to me. And this all goes back to whatever I just said about like what if the future generation asks you like, hey, has this model ever ran on this bus service, and then there is like little to no evidence. It's quite pitiful, really. It's like, can you imagine them not knowing that 967 Citaros used to run, that they only have to depend on like word of mouth and like people just recalling and no like actual concrete evidence that like um that is on like YouTube or whatever. Because I'm gonna tell you something really honest. If Maxon never put in effort to chase all those, be it permanent buses or cameos, YouTube, Singapore bus YouTube would have lacked a lot of content. Whether you like him or hate him, I mean, he's my friend, but I'm saying like objectively speaking, whether you like him or whether you hate him, he has done a lot, like a lot for the Singapore bus community. Just gonna put it out there. And I do understand that like for me, I have tendencies to like offend people, but that's only because I want to bring out a message that it's just that like sometimes when people they don't really, it's like they have all this good technology yet they don't really want to film buses. Sometimes it kind of like it feels a bit off. That's why I say stuff, and then apparently some people get offended over it. So yeah, and keep in mind that like I'm okay to take criticism. If I am unable to take criticism, wouldn't have even been able I wouldn't even have said all these things in the first place. But I just want to make a point about the current state of like bus enthusiasts in Singapore right now. Because instead of seeing all of these, like I'm not expecting like the whole of YouTube to be flooded with like 967 Citaros. But the reality is that like before I got the Citaro on 967, before I got the 822 E5 on 14E, before I got all the OCs and Sunli Mans, and I think some other YouTubers have managed to get them as well, which I am really thankful for. Cause really, it's really weird to see just me like hogging all the content. I really don't want to. I want more people to be able to upload this kind of stuff because it is really objectively valuable. Because I'm not joking when I search on YouTube, let's say the search bar, and then I type in like SMRT 967, and then I type in Citaro as well, And in this case, okay, for other cases, you might see eBus debut, eBus debut, eBus debut, eBus debut, and stuff like that. But like for 967, all I see are like E6, 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 a few E5s over here, E6, 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 E5, E5. Numerous Citaros have ran on 967, be it full day or like it being hard to catch. And the reality is that before I got that Citaro video, this was what the search results looked like. I don't even mind like my own content being like buried down the line. I don't really care about like the views or anything. I mean, even though like I monetized, so I technically have to care, but like, I mean like, I was hoping I see more like Citaros on it. I mean, technically my friend did get a Citaro, like, I think arriving at the interchange or something like that, but it was only one of them that got like buried in the sea of all these E6, E5, E6, E5, E6, E5, E6, 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 E6. And just to respond to this comment a little bit more precisely, okay, hold on. Yes. Yes. Okay, but to be honest, the way I phrased it is more of like a figure of speech saying that like nobody really cares about the 967 Citaro, unfortunately, except me. Okay, apologies if you got the wrong idea from my post, but yes, I did like say it in a rather like exaggerated and theatrical manner, but like my whole point is that like really nobody really cares. I mean, technically, in this case, some of the younger enthusiasts, they did ask me to like document some cameos. So if I was unable to document them, I would like call on my friend for help. And then, okay, the main portion, sorry, I mean like the main part is this one. So regarding this one, I am not forcing like specific individuals to like go and chase this, go and chase that, don't chase this, don't chase that, or whatever. I mean, you want to chase E6, you want to chase eBus, okay, fine, but I don't understand why you guys can devote so much of your time for E6 and eBus when, like, you know, as I've explained just now, when all of these buses are still around, they don't have much time left. I'm already worried, but you guys only wait till like the last minute to chase. So I've explained this before that like I don't know what to say. It's like the 17 years. They care about the bus at this point of they care about the bus at this point in time. They care about the bus at this point in time. They all struggle to like start documenting the bus around this period of time. They all rush out of their homes and like actively start filming only around here. And then this is like, I don't care. This is the exact mentality of like the bus enthusiasts. They're gonna wait till the very, very last unit or the last few units before they actually care about the bus model in general. It's not just the younger generation of enthusiasts. People around the same age as me, I have seen the same level of hypocrisy coming from them as well. As in like this general attitude to buses. They don't truly like buses. They are only filming or like snapping it for the cloud to have like an Instagram portfolio or some sorts of things to brag that I've chased the rarest cameos. I documented every single model in Singapore and stuff like that. Oh my god, the panties are now very boring. I want E6, I want eBus, I want something fresh, new, I want to be forward looking. That kind of mindset. It's like with like little to no respect for history at all. Again, I'm not expecting like specific individuals to care, but like when the entire community, not even a single bus enthusiast cares about MAN A22 E5 on 14E. Not a single person cares about 967 Citaro. Not a single person cares about the Sunli bus stunts, even though the bus community in general loves stunts, which is ironic. But again, it is not a problem if one or two people decide not to film. It's completely fine. But when everybody has this like whole attitude of uh, like OC50LE, like A22 happened many times. It's already common by now. I don't care about the Sunli bus debuts. When every single one of them they keep up their this kind of like attitude, it yeah goes back to what I'm saying. You wouldn't even be able to explain to people that like have concrete evidence to explain to people that like the bus has actually done this bus service before. All you can rely is word of mouth. All you can rely is exclusive photos that are not public domain to prove your point, which is objectively, again, there's nothing really wrong with that. It's just it's not really good for like his documentation of history in general. And this doesn't just apply to buses, it applies to like stuff like trains and whatnot, anything to do with history documentation in general. You know, even old buildings, old lifts, stuff like elevators, stuff like that. So again, just want to reiterate the point that like it becomes a problem when there isn't a single person to catch the cameos that are actually considered rare and are not that difficult to catch, but like not even a single person like except me went down to actually get the documentation of said bus. I don't think there was even like one person snapping. It was just me filming. And the day before I filmed, it was just Ong Wei Jian, you know, just posting on his social media, which is completely fine. And then, okay, again, regarding this part, I think I've addressed that just now. It's the fact that like, yes, I know I offend people easily. I know sometimes the way I like say things, it just comes off to you in the wrong way. But I'm just like, I just say whatever's on my mind and I don't hold back. Like whatever's on my mind, I just say it without filter. I'm not trying to offend people. I just say how I genuinely feel. I don't want to hold back my feelings. That's all. If I feel that like the bus community in general isn't giving let's say history in general the respect that it deserves, then I'm gonna say something about it. I mean, like even my bus route recreations, they technically don't do that well when it comes to views because nobody really cares about bus services in the past, but like I still want to do it because I want people to realize that 985's predecessor 185 wasn't just a beauty world loop before the integration with like 989. I want people to know that Trans Island Bus Services 185, which used to be SBS 185, yeah, as in okay, there are different generations, but that version of 185 used to be similar to 186. It used to run all the way to Shenton Way. When it was cut, 186 had to be introduced to cover the gap that 185 left, leaving like Farrer Road with like inadequate bus connections and stuff like that. But this is how you explain history. It's yeah. Again, I'm not someone who like cares too much about views. I'm just saying that like if it gets views, good. At least people are getting interested and like are learning more about the bus's history because as SG Buses has explained, like once a bus model has deregistered, the attention for it like generally dies down, unless it's a Hispano habit. But it's technically a good thing because people love Hispano habits. They love Vograns. They love Mark 1 and Mark 2 bendies. And these are basically like Maxon's backlog of videos. I'm thankful that he still even has backlog. So you guys still can enjoy like 0405G videos. The main takeaway is that like if I didn't go for all of these stunts, like these cameos, YouTube would have gone without any form of like documentation, which is like genuinely bad for the community. I'm not saying like, oh, I'm the best bus YouTuber on earth or what. No, I just want more people to get them so that there is more content on YouTube for people to publicly access and be able to enjoy. And I even gave my own viewers the benefit of like just anyone who has access to the internet, the benefit of like using my content for free. That's my whole intention anyway. Once again, please support my friend, genuinely. He will be uploading just short videos of Mercedes-Benz OC500LE, 254, as well as 181. Nobody has gotten them before. So I told him to like get it, like, okay, I didn't force him, I didn't coerce him, I just told him like which cameos are more significant. He has the right to decline, and he has every right and the will to decide for himself what cameos he wants to hunt. I am just giving him like suggestions on, you know, what needs documentation and what's not. If he's too far away, I'm not gonna force him. If it's late at night or early in the morning, obviously I'm not gonna force him to like record anything. It is just that he on how to say, it's like I didn't force him. He on his own accord like wanted to help me out, so he would upload it and then I would share his videos to my own post and community tab so that through me he's able to get like a better reach and an audience for his videos. And that's what I want to help the bus community with. If you have videos that you want me to help you share, I can help you share. I mean, as long as you don't give me POFMA like, you know, the SBS transit belly buses running on 803 and that kind of nonsense, then it's good. I will share them. And I didn't force him to like ride the bus. I didn't force him to like, oh, film the front, film from the back, film from the middle or anything. I leave it up to him as long as he gets like some sort of video of the bus, because I've talked about why videos are better in this case as compared to just mere photos, because photos can be manipulated and videos are like a lot harder to like manipulate. And so I also told him that like no, don't pressurize yourself. If even if your video gets corrupted, it has like that like zoom glitch or whatever. But I just told him as long as you get the bus, either interior or exterior, no pressure, even if it's just a few seconds, as long as you get the bus documentation, I mean the video documentation of that cameo bus onto YouTube, regardless of the quality, I am already more than happy that like at the very least there is at least one video for like that one cameo, that one sort of like rare cameo or stunt that has like happened before. And that's kind of what like documentation is all about. You just need one video regardless of the quality. And when the other bus enthusiasts are not able to produce that, even those that are like near enough to boonlay, then unfortunately I have to say something about the community. But I did not say anything about my friend because he has put in the effort and I didn't even expect anything out of him. Like sometimes I feel bad like having to ask him to like stop whatever he's doing. I didn't tell him to stop whatever he's doing. I just saying, hey, there is a cameo that needs documentation. Would you mind if you like help me? Obviously I'm not that like so-called polite. I just talked to him very casually and you know, we just discussed and then he would get whichever cameo that he is comfortable and able to get, and that's it. And all that's required is like some form of like video documentation, not even like 1 minute, just a few seconds outside film, or preferably outside film. because at least you can see like the EDS and stuff like that. So I don't even expect much. Truly, I don't even expect much from people. It's just at least one of you be there to like film the bus for a few seconds if you happen to be near the bus. And that's all, especially the people who have access to like mobile data, Wi-Fi, your cameo spotting groups, intel from whatever medium you guys are participating in. Yeah, truly, I really don't. It's like at least one video is all I ask for, really. Because I don't want like future enthusiasts to come questioning like, hey, did Citaro on 967 really happen? And there are no videos out, publicly accessible videos like a video bank on YouTube. Like there are no videos to be able to like prove it. It's genuinely just a little bit sad. That's why I'm even making this video in the first place. Like again, no offense to whoever made that comment. I'm just here to like respond to it and tell you the reason why I tend to like offend people in general, But really, support him. I don't want to hear anything about like, oh, his videos are crap or anything. He at least got the documentation of stuff that you guys didn't even bother to film. That alone makes his videos way more worth it to watch, regardless of the quality. It's not always about 4K or HD. It's about the amount of effort they put in to document history. I just want people to understand the importance of history, especially because we feel bad that like our generation wasn't able to like, except for like the two big names as well as a few YouTubers here and there, like most of us are just unable to document stuff, and we just don't really want the same thing to happen to like the future generations of like bus enthusiasts. Not just like in Singapore, even in other countries as well. For Japan, the issue is more of like there aren't really enough bus enthusiasts, and that's why a lot of the front views or hyperlapses become undocumented. For Singapore, unlike Hong Kong, which has like access to like live locations of buses, or even Malaysia has them, I think, or even Indonesia, I'm not sure, but like because of that, cameos in Singapore are technically like harder to catch in general, and that's kind of why these videos are like actually valuable. Hyperlapses, I'm not too worried because in Singapore there is a hyperlapse community. The hyperlapse community, they would eventually film stuff, so I'm not worried about it. I myself don't really film hyperlapses, as I've said before, but yeah, the front view documentation, unlike Japan, in Singapore is like quite good already. It is just like the general documentation of bus models that I feel people really have to buck up in like the 15 years in between, and not just wait till the last year until a few units are left and then everybody comes like scrambling out to catch the last few units. It's like kind of pointless already because most of the units have already deregistered. Don't wait for them to deregister, please. Any KUB, Citaro, Ride, A22, E5, A24, or even B5LH, Yutong, E12, SD, DD, the fish tank and panna loaf. And yeah, all these older buses, please cherish them. And that's the reason why I said all those things. So yeah, I'm not really gonna change the way I like speak or anything. As I've said, I have no ill intention. I don't really want to offend people. It is just that like when the younger enthusiasts, they don't really care about history, even though they have all the means to document them. it just feels a bit it just feels a bit like a pity, and that's why we tend to like be a bit stronger in our language and stuff like that. So yeah, I just hope that like more people would actually put in effort to like document stuff. That's all I wanted to say. So またね。